Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. In the rugged mountains of Arizona, somewhere between jagged peaks cutting into the deep blue sky, lies a fortune beyond imagination. A vein of gold so pure, so massive, that the man who saw it with his own eyes said his thoughts almost stood still in utter amazement. 18 inches wide, running across a narrow canyon, a gleaming wall of wealth with the Arizona sun dancing off its surface. Yet for all the thousands who have searched for it over the past century, not one has found it again. This is the story of Dr. Thorne's lost gold, a treasure that rivals the famous Lost Dutchman Mine, yet remains hidden just 80 miles from Phoenix. A treasure that consumed a man's life and turned his freedom into obsession. Welcome to Southwest Desert. Today, we're exploring one of the Southwest's most enduring mysteries. A physician captured by Apaches, shown an impossible treasure, and released to spend his life searching for what he'd briefly witnessed. The historical record is vague on exactly how Dr. Thorne fell into Apache hands. What we do know is that he was taken to a semi-permanent Apache camp near Four Peaks in the Mazatzal Range, about 80 miles northeast of modern Phoenix, near Roosevelt Dam. This remote camp was strategically placed at the base of mountains near what was then called Rio Salada, now the Salt River. The location housed women, children, elders, and the sick, keeping them safe while raiding parties struck at settlers and competing tribes. What made this camp so effective was its nearly impossible access. The surrounding terrain consisted of red and brown volcanic rock that left no trace of passage. No footprints of man or horse remained on these surfaces. For Dr. Thorne, escape seemed impossible. Even if he could slip away, he would face almost certain death crossing the unforgiving terrain alone, without supplies, weapons, or knowledge of hidden water sources. Initially kept under guard with limited movement, Dr. Thorne quickly assessed his situation. A pragmatic man, he realized immediate escape was futile. Instead, he chose patience, deciding to await what might turn up. As months stretched into years, something remarkable happened. Dr. Thorne began treating tribespeople when they fell ill. His medicine proved effective in relieving their suffering, perhaps combining Western medical knowledge with local herbal remedies. The Apaches, witnessing his healing abilities, began to view him with growing trust. His status elevated from prisoner to what some accounts describe as a miracle man. His gentle manner and calm acceptance of circumstances endeared him to those who held him captive. Despite his improved status, Dr. Thorne grew increasingly homesick over time. He longed for contact with his own culture. This craving eventually led him to approach the sub-chiefs with a formal request for permission to leave. The Apache Council called a meeting to discuss his request. The council acknowledged their gratitude toward the doctor, recognizing his consistently docile, friendly, and trustworthy behavior. They faced a dilemma. They wished to honor his request for freedom, yet were reluctant to lose his good medicine for future ailments. The matter was significant enough that they consulted with Chief Red Sleeves, who returned with a clear command: let the pale-face medicine man go. However, their compliance came with strategy. They would grant him freedom, but without providing practical means to use it. No horse and no weapons and no food for the journey. They correctly assumed that even a free man would hesitate to travel alone and unarmed through such wild and perilous country. Dr. Thorne, recognizing the impossible situation, made the prudent decision to remain temporarily. During his years of captivity, Dr. Thorne had observed something peculiar about Apache attitudes toward gold. From conversations with tribe members, he learned about a rich yellow treasure within their territory. He understood that white men were obsessed with gold and willing to shed blood for it, while to the Apache it had little use. If you would like to contribute to my channel, join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for the image and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you. The tribe was aware that gold trading between races always led to trouble. Gold occasionally found practical use for bullets or gold-tipped arrows, but little else in their society. Apache tradition strictly forbade showing gold sources to white men, yet Dr. Thorne had occasionally observed fine specimens of pure gold in quartz in the camp, though he had no idea where they originated. Then something extraordinary happened. The tribe decided to show him their gold mine as proof of their faith and love. Dr. Thorne remained skeptical about their true motivations. He couldn't convince himself that making him a party to their secret was meant to be a reward. Years later, he suspected it might have been an example of their tantalizing cruelty and love of torture, showing him immense wealth that he could never possess or relocate. On what historical accounts describe as a clear, bright day, resplendent with Arizona sunshine, the Apaches mounted Dr. Thorne on a sturdy pony for the journey. Before departing, they blindfolded him completely. The accounts detail the disorienting tactics employed. The pony was turned around several times to the left and to the right, and he was led backward and forward to create confusion. Every device conceivable by the Apache mind was used to disorient him during the hard ride over a long and rocky trail. The path went both up and down, through terrain so complex that even an experienced frontiersman would lose all sense of direction while blindfolded. When they finally removed his blindfold, what Dr. Thorne saw exceeded anything he could have imagined. In his own words, "I expected to see something astounding, but his wildest imaginings had pictured nothing so clear, rich, and simple." They stood in a narrow canyon. Before him ran a vein of quartz, at least 18 inches wide, cutting across the canyon floor and running up the opposite wall. But this was no ordinary quartz. It was almost half pure, shining, naked gold. With the sun shining on the vein, Dr. Thorne's thoughts almost stood still in utter amazement. Despite his shock, he maintained enough presence of mind to think about returning alone someday. He stealthily tried to memorize landmarks, noting Four Peaks' serrated profile against the deep blue sky. But he remained confused about which side of the mountain he was standing on. The Apaches allowed him just enough time to confirm that the secret gold mine was no fraud before replacing the blindfold for the return journey. Once again, they employed disorienting maneuvers during the trip back to camp. Upon their return, Dr. Thorne found himself in a new position, free to go or to stay. But after seeing the gold, he developed a restlessness of spirit and an intense desire for freedom. Dreams of the great treasure disturbed his peace of mind until he could no longer remain. His departure came with great difficulty and many hardships, details he was reluctant to discuss in later years. But ultimately, he successfully returned to white settlements in Arizona. For most men, this might have been the end of the story, a harrowing tale of captivity and escape. But for Dr. Thorne, it was just the beginning of a much longer journey. Finding the gold became the driving passion of his life. Initially, he had to delay his search due to ongoing Apache warfare. But once the Apaches were subdued and placed on government reservations, he returned to Four Peaks. The search became both his job and his hobby, his purpose and his obsession. He made trip after trip, with as many different approaches as the topography would allow. His persistent challenge remained the same. No matter how many trips I made, nor from what angle I approached, it never looked the same to me. Year after year, he continued his relentless search, until eventually he became too old to go into the mountains alone. When infirmity compelled him to desist, his life force seemed to drain away. The connection between his search and his very existence was so profound that, when that search ended, he died. The story of Dr. Thorne has several variations in historical accounts. An 1852 version claims that Dr. Thorne and a party of 7 men were traveling east from California when they arrived at Maricopa Wells. There, they fought Apaches, leaving only 2 white survivors, Dr. Thorne and a man named Brown. Both were captured, but Brown eventually escaped. The Fish manuscript, dated July 12, 1869, references a search expedition by C.E. Cooley, A.F. Bonta, and Henry W. Dodd, who departed from the Zuni village with a small party of Indians, specifically seeking a gold mine known as the Doc Thorne story. The Apache may have shown Dr. Thorne the gold not as a gift, but as a curse, knowing that what they revealed would haunt him until his dying day. The true wealth of the Southwest lies not just in what can be extracted from the ground, but in the stories and mystique that permeate its mountains and canyons. For Southwest Desert, I'm your desert frontiersman, Alan. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of Arizona's most enduring mysteries. Check out my large Southwest catalog of videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. Happy trails! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.